Hello everyone, it's Matt along with Good. Today we're going to go extreme with the Extreme Killing Machine. So stay tuned to see how extreme he truly is. Alright, let's get one more of those extremes out there, but the Extreme Killing Machine is a good unit, but isn't a super great unit, but I'll tell you why he's so good in a little bit. But first, leadership effect. Inorganic spell resistance plus 20%. It's okay. It has some uses, but it's more specific for inorganics. And I'm hoping that a little later on in the game that we're going to get more inorganics out there, and it'll actually be even better later on. It is useful for when, especially PvE, when you've got to use inorganics only. They tend to be weakest against spell enemies, and that really helps. This is a physical attack unit. Surprise, surprise. It is a killing machine. First one, though, does not do any damage. Pulling screw. They have another name, suction screw. But personally, I think pull screw is a better name, so I'm just going to leave it here. But the English name is suction screw. It attracts all enemies by up to 3 squares towards you. It is a interesting first skill for the Extreme Killing Machine. I'm not a huge fan of the pull screw as a main attack, but in its third awakening, it can counter with pull screw, which is about 40% chances to occasionally counter with pull screw. And that could really hurt positioning of other units, especially if they're attacking from afar, as long as they're within range. So if you are attacking the Extreme Killing Machine, you want to make sure that you are not directly lined up with it, because the pull screw will pull, or suction, will draw you in even if you have 100% evade. So if you want to bring in an evade unit so that your magic users can destroy them, this is actually very useful. And the Extreme Killing Machine, I'm going to say, is more of a counter unit. And when I mean counter, I'm not saying we're going to use with counter pull screw. You've got to do that and got to get up to 3 hearts. This is a unit that's more useful to counter the big boys in PvP, if you're going to focus on PvP, than almost anything else. And the reason is that these 2 skills here can be pretty useful. Heavy Impact inflicts 250% physical damage and occasionally will stun. That's a 20% stun rate. 72 magic, 72 MP. But for a non-physical with such a large range around it, this is actually a pretty powerful skill. On top of it, if you do get it to 3 hearts with that counter pull screw, you will be able to draw in the enemies and then just heavy impact them, stun them, etc. But its true coup d'etat is the Shining Shot. Bang. Inflicts 155% bang physical twice on an enemy. This is your Psaro killer. This is a very strong Shining Shot. Does 2 damage. And with the first awakening here, with the increased movement 1 and increased bang power by 10%, that gives it another 15% on top of there. So you're already at 170%, can get up to around, I believe, 200%. So that's 400% damage divided into 2 attacks. So if you do enough damage and you buff it up enough, you will be able to actually defeat Psaro with Extreme Killing Machine. If not, you still should be able to do some pretty good damage. Yes, you still have to worry about the dodge ability, but the Extreme Killing Machine has pretty good agility as well, so that is not as much of an issue. Already talked about most of its important ones. It also has Frizzle and Sizzle resistance, and on top of it, the 5th one, first 2 turns greatly increased speed, and then Shining Shot power 5%. All in all, most people aren't going to have more than just the first awakening skill for Extreme Killing Machine. But if you get lucky, or later down the line in the game, you will go through there. This is a solid tier 2 unit That is going to be great to help you with the 50 um, weight, and might as well go to the stats here. That will allow you to counter Psaro, and in a way, you can also counter Corvus if you build him correctly with a breath skill that I'll show you, but is mostly just Psaro, and this is why he's a good unit, but not fantastic unit in PvP. His stats, pretty good. 1,133 HP at full 130 rank 8 and awakening with 460 defense. He also has the intrinsic skill of increasing power for the first 2 turns and decreasing the first damage against him by 50%. So it does allow him to be able to last a few rounds with that combination. But once again, it's a little bit scary on top of it with the ability, with it still him drawing all the enemies to him. He can be defeated accidentally if you're not careful with him. MP 395, attack very good at 556. And remember, he's got that intrinsic power for the first 2 turns, so he will do a lot of damage early on. The agility 473, which is important to try and counteract Psaro's ability to dodge. The wisdom is 117. Who really cares? Movement is 3 as long as you've got 1 awakening, and weight is 50. Preferred weapon, flail destruction is probably the correct one. You could go a lot of different ways here. He doesn't have his own weapon. Honestly, this is one of the few units that this really hurts. I think if Extreme Killing Machine got his own weapon that allowed him to get his own skill, especially the bang skill, up another 10%, he might have become a lot more important overall. But instead, you can do attack power with the Flail of Destruction, and you're just looking for the attack power HP for the Extreme Killing Machine. There's a lot of other weapons. You can also try to get bang power up, etc. It's really hard to say what the best preferred weapon. You could even go lollipop as well with the HP. The Extreme Killing Machine can use whatever additional benefit you want if you're going to go that route. Personally, I don't worry too much about a weapon. It will take a lot of weapons with ease, and you could kind of base it off the rest of the team that you have. Its preferred learned skills, I'm going to go a little bit different here and going to go Thunder Breath. It's not Bang, it doesn't have the Bang skill, but I like the Thunder Breath on Extreme Killing Machine because of the Paralyze on top of it, and that will help you to go along with Corvus. It is not a large damage, but it could stand toe-to-toe with Corvus. It could push Corvus around to allow you to get other units to do some major damage along with him as well. And this just gives him that ability to become both a Corvus and a Psaro unit of mass destruction. So all in all, that's where I would highly suggest for this one. And this is a little bit of an oddball, but that's kind of where I go. You can also go with the Banks skill as well for what he currently has, but it gives him another element as well. And they're both very, very useful. You could also go with Blunt if you want to kind of just be there, or another non-debuff skill. You can also go with Blessed Breath, which is just a weaker zap breath skill. But personally, I think going with that is just going to give you the ability to do damage to Corvus as well, and maybe if you're lucky, paralyze him. Pros, cons. First Awakening is great for movement and increasing that bang attribute by 10%. That is really, really necessary for Extreme Killing Machine. But if you're also looking through this, Inorganic is what I would call a unit that we're not going to use a lot of shards with. You can, if you pull one, then go with the shards and just go with getting him to the First Awakening. that is a extremely large bang for your buck. You could pretty much stop there for a lot of players in the game, just because that at least then you have someone that can go against Psaro, take the damage it does. Hopefully the Psaro attacks first, and you keep it away from like a faster unit like Elena. So even if it does this continuum, it still should survive that first hit. Remember, it gets 50% off that first damage, and then you can counter with its shining shot and try and get some pretty large damage back. Very least, gives you that ability to counter Psaro. Also has very good overall stats where it counts. The wisdom don't care. Basically, the only thing that I really wish it had a little bit more was I would have been. Oh, no. Actually, the more I think about it, I think they did a good job of keeping the stats there. It is a weird unit. I see the benefit of it being able to move around because, as I say, this is a unit that's designed to counter Psaro, to counter Corvus. Actually, it doesn't counter Corvus as well, but kind of with the ability to suction it around. So it has its uses. I just kind of would have been better. I think I would have been a little happier with a little bit more agility and a little less attack. But all in all, very, very good stats where it counts. The cons, the pull screw counter gives good movement on the field, but it could be a double-edged sword because it could get you in trouble. It could lead you to chain reaction where Extreme Machine just goes off into a random spot. Good news is, though, is you need to get 3 hearts in order for that to happen. And most people aren't going to get there. The skill also does not proc on high difficulty quests in PvE. So one of its big, what I call unique abilities is kind of useless on the really hard battles in PvE. But it does have that incredibly powerful bang attack, which is a very good element to have for PvE. It's great counter to Psaro, and if I do get Extreme Killing Machine, because I'm not going to be pulling very hard for this, I might only be doing 20 pulls in general. And also, third turn of Fallen Angel Corvus will be useful if he survives, or if you do the Blessed Breath as the skill, you can then use the bang, and that will be in itself a great ability to be a huge counter to the what I would call is the absolute meta of Psaro and Corvus. We will be getting the first true hero in probably about 2 months, which will also be another very powerful counter. As I say, I put Killing Machine in a mid, what I will call sub-meta tier. So I have meta, sub-meta, and then basically I have then, useful, and then never going to even see the light of day for S's. He is a very good counter unit. The other good counter unit's Grey Gnarl. And I was lucky to pull 2 Grey Gnarls with my tickets. And honestly, that never happens with me with tickets ever, other than with Grey Gnarl. And I'm going to use Grey Gnarl with his breath as the counter, but Extreme Killing Machine is very, very good there. What's the A unit? It's the Killer Torch. And honestly, it is a very Frizz-specific unit. It does have SAML, so it does do SAM spell damage as well. And you're going to add another magic skill to its reservoir. But personally, I do like having a Frizz spell damage specific for an egg unit. It has an interesting niche. Its agility is pretty good at 440 for an A. Wisdom is a little lower than I'd like at 380. But its Third Awakening gives an increase in Frizz spell potency. And First Awakening, if it gets below 50% HP, will increase damage dealt as well by a decent amount for that one turn. But all in all, it is very Frizz focused and spell casting. It's a good unit, but if the unit's strong against Frizz, it ain't doing much. It does have Zamel, but with its wisdom being 380, which is a little below average that I like to see with A units now for damage specific units. It still has uses, especially for PvP. If you notice that the enemy is going to be weak to Frizz and you need to bring an A unit, or we have another one of those A unit onlys. So I hope you guys enjoy. More importantly, though, have a great day. You can reach me here. Also, I'm on Twitch, twitch.tv/MadGuru. Please like and subscribe. It does help me out a bit. But more importantly, have a great day and goodbye. Coo.